leader climbs up, they have like safety equipment that they can place into naturally occurring cracks in the rock as they, as often as they are able to. And what you do is, to minimize the risk, you clip the rope through this safety equipment as you climb up. And it's really important to state that the difference in difficulty between leading something and seconding something is huge. So seconding is when your friend has led up and you follow them up. And obviously, when you're the leader, the rope goes down from you, and when you're the seconder, the rope is above you. So if you fall off when you're the leader, the consequences are a lot more serious than if you fall off when you're on second.
Okay, this is so there's more jeopardy if yes. You're the leader. Let's put it like that. There's a climbing coach we hear from in the film, and in terms of his reaction to what you do, and particularly what you're attempting with the Old Man of Hoy, he is slightly lost for words, is Adam Harris.
When we were first talking, I remember I was impressed by the fact that he led indoors. I was like, all right, this guy's pretty tough, pretty serious. And then when I found he was doing trad outdoors, I don't know, just like mind blown, just like, are you kidding? Like, what? And not only that, but I mean, he's climbing classic routes that are high on, your average climber's tick list, and he's doing it. Like, if you're climbing a limit and you can't see, man, like, I don't know.
Well, exactly. You must have blown a few minds in your time. Now, it's your partner Molly is your eyes, so to speak, and tells you what holes to go for. Now, this is you've got an amazing relationship which goes back a long way. Just tell us a bit about that when you first came across her, or she came across you.
So we met at university. We were both part of the mountaineering club at Bath, and kind of began climbing together since then. And she's been excellent because as my sight has deteriorated over time, she's kind of filled me with and learned to take on the mantle of guiding me. And obviously, following so much of it, that's a real help because she can almost read my mind and what I need to do for the next move. Because we climb together so much. So when I'm hanging on for dear life, I don't need to try and say to her, "Oh, I need to move my right foot." She already knows, which is great.
So how did you feel hearing back this bit for the film? If we can just play that now. This is Molly.
You complete the walk. You ever lied to him?
I ever lied to him all the time. He's like, "How does it look?" "Yeah, great." And it's scary. Yeah, it's only if it looks sketchy, and then like just try and make it that it's all fun.
Yeah, I suppose there's plenty of potential for marital disputes here, aren't there? Does that ever break out if you go for a hold and it's not there? You say, "Oh, that's it, right, not left."
So she does get her right and left mixed up occasionally, and she's the first to admit that. But there is no. My view on it is there's no point kind of getting wound up and aggro. If your mind's on that, it's not on what it needs to be focusing on, which is right. Where's my next hold? Where's my next piece of gear? That's when I'm climbing. That's all. I'm thinking about. Everyone always says, "Is there any kind of arguments or what happens? If we aren't getting along that day?" But in reality, that doesn't happen. So, yeah.
And can you sense danger in terms of, obviously you can't look down, so I know you're always being asked, haven't you got an advantage because you can't see how far up? Special about the parents and the way they talk about you and in the distance, but you noticed your parents didn't realise when you were a kid, and they tell that story. Very interesting.
It wasn't really till you went to school. We just thought all kids couldn't see at night. We didn't see about trying to make him read before he went to school.
After the diagnosis, you kind of all the things that you think,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
We always used to want to sit far too close to the television.
Yeah. We said it was bad for you.
Yeah, bad for his eyes.
Bad for you. Bad for your eyes.
There's kind of a levity about them that you might find sort of shocking at first, but is that how it's kind of been dealt with over the years? I'm sure there's been terrible moments, aplenty, but does that sort of helped you along, their kind of good humour?
I think so, yeah. They're probably awesome parents and terrible parents in equal measure. Probably more the former. I think that it's something that I had never really thought about until the film was made and people started commenting on it. But I really benefited from the positive attitude that they instilled in me. My dad especially, he was always a very glass half full kind of person. I think that has rubbed off on me and has had a large impact on my approach to things generally.
Well, what's really ironic here, actually, given that I'm talking to a blind climber, is that for once I'm feeling I can't actually do the film justice on radio. You need to kind of see it to get a picture of just how incredible it is what you're doing. So, in an attempt to rectify that, we're just using a bit of audio description with the audio description feature on from the iPlayer. And this is when you're in the bit of the climb that's called the coffin. Just to explain how death-defying that is. I mean, sort of aptly named.
He's forcing himself upwards through a gap where an overhanging ledge narrows the main channel.
It's like I could really do being able to see. Finding a hole would be nice.
He pushes upwards from his elbows.
So, I mean that helps, but you got to get across the fact that you're a long way up in a coffin-shaped hole. It's difficult to manoeuvre yourself through.
Yeah, so there's loads of things that make this hard. The coffin, as it's called, comes about halfway up the stack, and it's what climbers call the crux, which is the most difficult section. So you've got to imagine at this point that the entire tower is overhanging, and you've climbed up into this kind of roofed chimney is probably the best way of describing it. So it's literally the breadth of my shoulders, and that's the first I knew that I was in it, because I felt a rock wall on one shoulder and a rock wall on the other shoulder. And then you climb up underneath this roof, so you're bent at this awkward angle because your footholds are quite high, and obviously you can't stand up straight because the roof's in the way, and you've got to contort yourself round, reach around the lip of this roof, and there's no actual holes to pull up on. There's no ledges. You've got to make progress by jamming your hands into a crack. So there's a crack that you slot your hands into and twist them, and then the sides of your hands clam into the sides of the crack. And then once you've done that, you've got to basically take both your feet off, hang from jammed hands, tuck them into a ball, and get your foot onto a really high foot ledge that's kind of like the level of your shoulders. And then, that's